Hello and welcome back. I'm so happy you're here and I'm thrilled to be here talking about another book that I absolutely adore and think anyone on this planet would enjoy reading and get something out of, whatever it is. Now, this book is incredibly relatable to most of the population because it deals with a love of food, it deals with grief, and it also deals with having interesting relationships with our mothers. And that book is Crying in H-Mart by Michelle Zauner. And this is a beautifully written memoir, which starts off as it sets the tone because her mother unfortunately passed away from cancer. But now that I've set the very brief scene, I promise it is not a depressing book. It is not just chapter after chapter of sadness. It's actually incredibly funny and witty, and our author does such an incredible job of encapsulating what it feels like from the moment she found out her mother was sick, and even before that, when she was a child growing up with a very strict analytical mother, always criticizing her, to going through the journey of trying to strengthen their relationship and find common ground and love for each other, to finding out about her mom's diagnosis and dealing with the grief of knowing she's going to lose her one day and how to make the most of their time together, and how food was really at the center of that beautiful relationship. And for a bit more context, she is half Korean, half American, our main character, or I should say Michelle, the writer, author of this memoir. So not quite a character since this is a real story and her actual experience. And in reading this memoir, I laughed so many times because I related. There were moments where it felt like it was talking about me when I was growing up, and how mothers always want the best for us, and even our parents in general, dads as well, and they'll criticize you or you'll feel like you're being judged, but in their minds they're just telling you what their opinion is or how the best path forward is. But we all know that when you're in that situation, you want to do what you want to do, and you just want to feel safe and supported and like you have something to fall back on and they'll be there for you. And it's that funny battle when you're an adult looking back thinking, to be fair, my ideas weren't always great, but there was so much friction and conflict as you're growing up and going through puberty. But there are still those moments where you always come back and share that love. And for example, with my parents, it was anytime we would go to the bookstore and I got to just roam around or pick new books and they'd ask me about what I'm reading. And even since I'm Romanian, with our culture, eating Romanian food and any celebrations, it felt like a moment where everyone got along and there was peace in the house and we came together. And in her memoir, they feel the exact same with food. And before I keep talking about the book and convincing you that you have to read it, one of the most beautiful quotes, it's right in the first 4 pages of the book. She writes, "Food was how my mother expressed her love, no matter how critical or cruel she could seem, constantly pushing me to meet her intractable expectations. I could always still feel her affection radiating from the lunches she packed and the meals she prepared for me, just the way I liked them." And that made me smile as I read it. I read this on a flight. Bad idea because I did cry and the person next to me looked very concerned. But like I said, at the end, we know what's going to happen to her mom. But that quote just beautifully sums up that with the people we love and all of the relationships we have in our life, romantic or friendship, especially as we're growing up and there's so many changes, there's those little ways that we show people we care and that they show us that they care. For example, my mom would always buy the snacks I loved. She would pay attention to what I would eat the most of or liked, and I would go to school and find this beautifully prepared lunch, and I felt so lucky because some kids wouldn't have that, and it made me feel connected. And this entire book, like I said, it's also hilarious at times because they'll scream at each other about why her mom doesn't want her to dye her hair or wear a certain makeup brand. And then it ends with them hugging and crying on the floor because they don't want her mom to die. And just the duality of being a human, right? And having these little things that upset you in the moment. This book really reminded me, and I hope will do the same for you, that with the bigger picture, it's all of those little moments of love that add up. And if you can, and you're fortunate enough to, go hug your mom, hug your dad, hug your sibling, hug your best friend. And while we're all here, just enjoy being in each other's presence and sharing love in the little ways. And food is an incredible way to bond. I'm always in favor of that. Going out to eat with my friends is probably my favorite way to share love, and book recommendations. But I truly, a gorgeous book. I think one of the best memoirs I've ever read, and I highly recommend. It reads like fiction. It's so fast and poignant and to the point. I think anyone could really get a lot out of it. So I hope that you do, and happy reading.